What's up, Pell the Sword? Welcome back to the channel, guys. We are here with Adam McArthur, voice actor. Thank you so much for spending some time.
Dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, man, we're here at Cleveland Comic Expo. So we're here from April 12th to the 14th. So you'll be down on the show floor and all that?
Yep. Signing autographs and meeting people and hanging out.
All right, so we see that you've voiced a ton of different characters, including. I apologize early if I butcher any of these names.
That's okay.
So is it Juji Atori?
Yuji Itadori.
Itadori.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
Jujutsun Kaisen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I knew that was coming.
Marco Diaz, and that was from Star versus the
Forces of Evil.
Forces of Evil.
Yep.
And of course, the reason why I'm interviewing you is because we have him. He was in the Clone Wars.
Yes.
So, real quick, brief history.
Yeah.
Me and another YouTuber, we broke down every single episode of Clone Wars and Rebels leading up to the Ahsoka series.
Oh, cool.
So we did that entire thing, and so when I saw that you were in Clone Wars, and I believe it was season 4, episodes 1 through 3.
Yep.
And so you played a character named lee-char, who ends up becoming, he was a prince, and he ends up becoming the king.
The king of Mon Cala.
Right. That's awesome. So my first question is, when you play these different characters, do you find that you have to change your actual voice to go with what character you're playing?
It depends. I mean, honestly, I think as a voice actor, your strongest tool is just your natural voice, and if you are a good actor, it can fit multiple characters. Okay. For lee-char, I remember when I first got the audition, it was under a code name. I didn't really know what it was. All the names were changed in the script, so you couldn't guess that it was Star Wars. So I literally had no idea what I was auditioning for. But they did give Admiral Akbar as a voice type for lee-char. They said he's considered like maybe a younger version of him or something like that. And so I did sort of like this, like, like the it's a trap, like, but I did like a little bit younger of a version. And when we got in the studio, they were like, you know what, Lyle, let's not even worry about that. Let's just have him sound kind of natural.
And so that's what you went with.
So that's what we went with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because lee-char is a Mon Calamari, and and like I said, his in the show, you guys can watch my breakdowns on that.
Yeah.
But would you basically your father dies, you become the prince, and I know that you become the king. And I know that you hang out with Ahsoka a little bit, and I think even Anakin, right?
Yeah.
So have you ever, I know a lot of times when voice actors voice, you're usually in the studio by yourself and not really with the other cast members. Have you ever met Ashley or Matt?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Clone Wars was one of the shows that it was recorded ensemble. So everyone was lined up behind mics. They had probably 8-10 mics in the studio, and everybody recorded together, which I think is really, really awesome. I got to meet Ashley, Matt, James, Steven, all those guys, Gary Anthony Williams, who was in that episode as the villain. It was really cool.
Wow.
Well, so let me tell you, that was my first show I had ever booked that was on TV.
Oh, wow.
Everything else, I mean, I'd done a lot of games and like things like that, but this was sort of like really early on in my voiceover career, and or like for cartoons. And like I said, it was under a code name when I got it. So I found out that I booked this show and this character. I thought it was for one episode, and I didn't know what show it was on. So I got to the studio, and a production assistant comes out, and she hands me a letter, and I take the letter, and I'm sitting there waiting, and I'm kind of nervous because, first time working at a big LA studio. And I look down, and it says, "Dear Mr. MacArthur, on behalf of George Lucas, we'd like to welcome you to the Star Wars universe." And I was like, I'll call my mom. So I stepped out of the studio, called my mom, and I was like, I'm going to be on Star Wars.
That's awesome. That's the dream, man.
It was cool. So I went in and recorded that episode, and at the end I was like, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been great. They're like, you're coming back next week. I was like, oh, how many episodes am I doing?
Yeah.
Like 3. And I was like,
3 story arc. That's right.
Yeah. So it was really cool.
Now, do you know that your character ended up dying in the future?
What?
Did you know about this?
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah. So I did a little research. So, and I don't know. Now, was this in a comic? I believe, right?
I think so.
I think it was the Darth Vader comics.
Yeah.
And I think happens after it's in 1 BBY. You know what BBY stands for, right?
Blackberry. Big Baby Yoda.
Before Battle of Yavin.
Oh yeah. Before the Battle of yes, yes.
So that's when Luke blows up the Death Star, right? That's how all the timeline works.
That I know.
Yes.
That I know.
Yes.
Listen, can I just tell you? People always ask me, "Are you a Star Wars fan?" And I know what a Star Wars fan is,
Yeah.
and they would know everything. So I really like Star Wars, but I'm scared to say I know too much because then I'll get.
So it's funny. I had Vanessa Marshall on the channel back in August, and I thought it would be fun to play some trivia with her. You know, she was on the show for 5 years,
Yeah.
and you know all the work that she did, and I asked her some not easy questions, but she didn't know any of them.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, I will say,
I felt bad.
my Star Wars claim to fame, besides being on Clone Wars, is during COVID, I did a. Do you remember the show The Animaniacs?
Yes. Yes.
Do you remember Yakko's like Countries of the World?
Mhm.
So I did a locations and characters of the Star
Okay.
Wars universe in the same tune and theme as Yakko's like
Okay.
Countries of the World.
So where can we find that at?
My TikTok and my Instagram.
All right.
I'm gonna show it to you.
All right.
I think you're gonna like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna watch it afterwards, and I'm gonna link
Okay.
this out in the bottom of the video
Yeah,
here in the
please do.
description. So my next question is: did you were you ever able to meet Dave Filoni?
Yes, he was the director on all
So
three
he
episodes.
was always
Yeah.
talk to me because I know he knows everything.
He knows
Like
everything.
if it's not George Lucas, it's Dave Filoni.
It's amazing.
So just kind of tell the audience there a little bit like how crazy is it what he knows about it?
Well, I mean, what's really cool is like in any animation, it's always a very collaborative process. And when it's a show like Clone Wars, where it's kind of secret what's coming
Yep.
and all that, they keep it very under wraps. You rely as a voice actor heavily on the director to give you context for what's happening. So kind of like trust that they're going to shape the arc of your acting. And any questions I had, it was, tons of backstory.
Yeah.
Dave was incredible to work with. I saw him years later at San Diego Comic-Con. And, I was only there 3 times. But I passed him in his cowboy hat on
And
the
he-
streets of San Diego. And I was like, Dave. And he turned around and I could tell he like recognized me, but couldn't place it right
Yeah.
away. And I was like, you directed me on a couple episodes of Clone Wars. And he goes, lee-char. And he remembered.
That's
so
awesome.
that was really
Great.
cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can sit here and talk about Disney Star Wars forever, but thank God we have Dave Filoni. So I'm sorry to say about that. So, when you prepare for a voice role, you kind of touched upon this a little bit, but like, so you're playing. Was it Juju?
Yuji.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So is your voice the same as your regular voice here?
Pretty much for that
Is
character,
it?
it's pretty much
Okay.
the same. Yeah.
Because like again, I'll be honest with you, I've never watched it.
Yeah.
But just reading about it, I'm like, oh, it's interesting. Because I look at the cast, I'm like, oh, okay. So
It's a really great cast.
It is.
Then the show's really good. I mean, it's brought a lot of people into anime who either have not watched it in a
Yeah.
long time or who have never really given it a shot. So
Yeah.
it's a great show.
Yeah, I'm 47 years old, and I just haven't. I never got into it, and
Do you like having fun?
I do like having fun.
Do you like things that are good?
I do. Yes. So there it is. Now I know my stepson. He watches.
It's a good pitch, huh?
Is it Naruto?
Yeah. Naruto.
Naruto. Okay.
No-
So I'm a big Funko Pop collector, and I know the community goes crazy for those, right?
Yes, yes.
And I know he watches that. And then what's Dragon Ball Z? I think is the other one, and
course,
he said he
yeah.
loves both of them. And then there's one. There's the big one nowadays is what One Piece.
One Piece is great.
One Piece.
Yeah.
And I know they just came out with a
Live action.
a live action on
Yeah.
Netflix. So yeah, one day I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna, but I just feel like then I'm gonna have no time to make videos because I'm gonna want to watch all that.
But
stuff.
you'll have so much new
I
content
will.
to make
I will.
videos.
It's
about.
true. That's true. Do you have any advice for anybody out there that might be saying, you know what, I would love to be a voice actor. What do I need to do?
What do you need to do? There's so many ways you could do it. This is kind of a lame piece of advice. There's a website, and it's called iwannabeavoiceactor.com. But since
There you
this is
go.
a Star Wars themed show, the creator of iwannabeavoiceactor.com is D. Bradley Baker, who you might know from
Captain Rex.
Yes, and
Yep.
all 99 clones.
Yep.
Yes. He created this website as like a really thorough place hub for information about getting into voiceover. Acting classes are always great. And then the piece of advice that my martial arts teacher told me when he knew I was moving to LA to go pursue a career in acting was somebody has to get those jobs. It might as well be you.
There you go, right?
So it's something important
cool.
to remember. Somebody has to do it,
And I know Steve Blum. I know he does some type of voice actor classes as well. I'm pretty sure he does.
Yeah, he does. And there's a lot of other great places in LA. Real Voice LA is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have you talked to Steve ever? Like, you know him, but like, have you ever talked to him?
Steve and I are like, we've sat next to each other at conventions a couple of times. I don't think we've worked together on maybe only a handful of things, but we've never really like hung out.
Okay. Now, I was just curious because, we saw him return as Zeb at the end of Mandalorian season 3. So everyone was always wondering, like, how did he not show up in Ahsoka yet or anything like that? So it's kind of crazy. But I think we will get him down the road. There has to be to be a reason that they brought him back.
I really like when they bring people back and people who originated characters, even if it's voice, for live action stuff. I think that's really, really cool.
All right, so the final question I always ask to everyone that comes on the channel.
Okay.
I'm hoping that you're a Game of Thrones fan, or at least know of it.
I know of it.
Is it because of season 8 is why you're not a fan anymore?
No. Listen, don't be mad at me. I gave Game of Thrones probably no less than 7 or 8 chances, and I fell asleep every time in episode 1. I know. But you know what? I think I'd read the books.
You read the books?
No, I think I should read the books.
Oh, well, those are hard to read.
They are.
I'll tell you that, yeah.
Yeah, I know I should give it a shot.
All right. Well, the next question is going to be awfully hard for you.
Okay.
But the question is always, you can use any of your characters.
Okay.
Since you've seen the first episode, it sounds like about 7 times.
Yeah.
I always ask what the character you want to pick.
Yeah.
Who would they relate best to in Game of Thrones? Like, who would they unite with? So we have the Starks.
Jon Snow.
Jon Snow.
And it's because there's a scene at the end of season 2 where Yuji is walking through the snow.
Perfect. There we go. All right. Thank you so much, Adam. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Drop a like. See you guys in the next one.
And now, the locations of the Star Wars galaxy, brought to you by Yakko Warner.
Corellia, Malachor, Alderaan, Mandalore, Coruscant, Kraden, Jakku, Mon Cala, and Mustafar, Bespin, and Dagobah, Kashyyyk, Lothal, and Naboo, Canto, Beidhaven, Fondor, Felucia, and Endor, Zygeria, Teth, and Vapor, Death Star 1, Death Star 2, Deveron, and Batu, Yavin 1, 2, 3, and 4, Geonosis, Pasana, Dakar, Takodana, Star Killer, Base, and Tatooine, Exegol, Abafar, Scarif, and Agamar, Kessel, and Dantooine. They're on Dantooine.
Now for the characters.
Luke, Han, and Leia, Chewbacca, Darth Vader, C-3PO, R2-D2, Ben Kenobi, and Wedge, Greedo, Tarkin, and Biggs, Uncle Owen, and Aunt Beru, Anakin, Kylo Ren, Boba Fett, Qui-Gon Jinn, Yoda, Poe, Finn, Rose, and Rey, Salacious B, Krum, Palpatine, and Namak, Hera, Lobat, BB-8, Ezra, Victor, Mace Windu, Ahsoka, Kanjuka, Snoke, and IG-88, Bib, Fortuna, and Jar Jar, Sebulba, and lee-char.
Prince lee-char was voiced by the handsome and brilliant Adam McArthur.
Jabba, Din, Ursa, Wayne, Lando Calrissian, Watto, Mothma, and The Mandalorian, Sice Noodles, Darth Maul, and Padme.